I always wait for a disclaimer when it comes up. When we come up.
What happened to YouTube? YouTube it never started playing.
It should. It takes a second.
There
It should
it goes.
be.
There it goes.
Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, don't scare me like
Sorry.
that, Timmy. Don't scare me.
Sorry, I don't know. Computers, man. Sometimes they don't work right.
Damn computers, they run in the world. Hey, we're back. We're back. The Wednesday Night Live is back. It's just him and me tonight. Phillip has got some family things he needs to take care of, and Allison is super, super busy. Can't wait to get Allison back on the show so she can share all the things that she has been going through the last month, right, Tim?
Yeah, she's been busy. She's been up north fighting vape PMT registry bills. So yeah, I mean, she's doing all the right things. She's doing all the things she needs to do with AVM. So yeah, definitely she needs her space to go do those things, and I get it. She came back and now her inbox is full. So
yeah, here and I apologize, everybody out there. I think I jinxed the industry last week by bringing up the fact that they've never been seized. Tim, they are fucking listening. Tim.
Okay, I have questions about the freaking picture I saw online, though. I get maybe the facts are straight, but yeah, I'm questioning the picture. That looks a little Photoshop to me.
A little photoshoppy. Well, that might be the work of Jim McDonald and the editors there at Vaping 360, though. That might be their thumbnail. I did not see any photos from the FDA or U.S. Marshals. If you have actual photos of the raid, I have not seen those. Now the one that we saw on Vaping, I think that's this one they put together.
That was definitely a marketing picture.
Yeah, I like the one I used. I just typed in, warehouse raid, and that came up. Well, Mar-a-Lago came up, and I'm like, I can't use Trump's fucking thumbnail.
Maybe what's his kid's name? What's his kid's name? Starts with a B. I can't remember his kid's name.
Oh, Hunter Biden's? Or no,
that's not his kid.
Brandon, right? Or Brandon?
No, it's whatever. It starts with a B. It's a very, I don't know. Wasn't he busted vaping or something, and that caused Trump to get all mad about vaping or something? I guess he caught his kid with a vape. Yeah. What is his, what is his name? I know somebody knows it out there.
I thought it was Brandon, Trump's son. Let's see here.
Barron, there it is, right there. You got it, Barron Trump. Yeah, have you seen that kid lately? The kid's like 8'2". He might. I think he's.
Oh yeah. I mean, if he has the skills, I mean, he should be playing playing basketball. But yeah, I apologize for jinxing the industry last week. Dude, when I saw that story, I thought to myself,
image I had in my head, I'm like, fuck you, John.
Fucking John. I thought the same thing. I was like, dude, are they listening to our show? They said, all right, John, we'll show you. Yeah, I was really surprised to see that. Also, I actually did find a feel good story. So I have a feel good story for the show. It's kind of a cool one. And Tim, I'm sure Tim's. Is there any news and advocacy out there, Tim?
Well, it's a lot of regurgitation of the same that's pretty much out there. I pulled up a few articles we can kind of sift through and just kind of. Nice. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the whole community notes thing that's out there on
that
Twitter
is taken off.
Formerly Twitter, now X. Yeah, no, it's been sort of just a refreshing element, to the whole entire kind of back and forth saga of, we get up there and we post our pro vaping information, and of course there's plenty of people out there posting plenty of anti-vaping information. But I think where it really resonates is when, we've dealt with for years now, just the ever growing frustration with the shit that they put online and the things that they say, and we're aware of the truth, and we're aware of the information that actually exists that the common reader doesn't normally get to see because, they're either not in our wheelhouse, they're not in our circle, they're going to be more inclined to be tied to the names outside of the vaping industry. And so when they get plastered with that, especially the WHO, to see them get, just lambasted with community notes over and over and over again, they can't shake those. It's easy for them to block people. Like, for example, there was a WHO Europe blocked several people that were giving them crap for that post that they did where they were talking about how the youth vaping trend was up and they needed to reverse the trend. And everyone was basically calling them out for their messaging and saying, well, you're basically saying you want them to get off of vaping and go back to smoking is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so they got slapped with a community note, but not before they blocked a bunch of people. And I'm like, I read the commentary from the people who had commented. And I'm like, no one's really saying anything in a harassing format. No one's saying, calling them names or being slanderous or anything of that nature. It was just really kind of pointing out the flaw in their messaging. And yet these people get blocked, So I made my own tweet about it. And then somebody who was an anti-vapor got on my thread and was like, well, if you get harassed all the time, you'll get blocked. I'm like,
God. Yeah.
Well, fine. Then they got followed up with a community note. So
no, it is really, and I did, like I said, there are no photos. I did not see anybody, and I am surprised that no one from even King or anyone stepped up and said, hey, let me get in front. Well, we're still waiting. We could get that table shot. They love that table shot where they take everything and put it on this big table. And all the law enforcement that were involved were standing around it with their fucking AK-47s and, their bulletproof vest. And, I wondered if they raided this place like they raided Diddy's house, that DEA, FBI, fucking CIA.
I'm sure it was probably sort of textbook. I mean, if I had to take my guess, I would say it was probably, they were either tracking something that they knew was going to land so they could get an easy bust, or it was one of those things where they just happened to stumble onto it as it was coming in and they were, it was a selected container or something. And, hey, there you go. Then all of a sudden they get the photo op. So, they love to put up the photo op.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked.
They said, we'll show John. Fuck John. We'll show John from the Wednesday Night Live.
They're watching the show, John.
No bust. We'll show you a bust. So we're going to talk about that. But right now, Tim's going to tell us how his week is going.
Wow.
Well,
I just realized that, I can officially start to comment on the fact that I think that I'm getting old. Older, I should say. So I have had probably one of the fullest 5-day periods of my entire life. So we went out Friday night with some friends for kind of quote unquote a double date. So that started, the snowball rolling down the hill. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. We went out for dinner and then went out for drinks afterwards. So nothing too extravagant. Then Saturday we went out again. We went to a concert, which was downtown. So I think I've seen Atlanta now about as much as I could possibly see of Atlanta in about a 4-day span. So we were back downtown to see a concert on Saturday night. By the way, if anybody's curious as to who we saw,
yes,
we saw Uriah Heep and Saxon, both UK bands, both originating from the 70s. So it was it was the old hard rock, heavy metal show. So we did that on Saturday. Then I had some off-site things I had to do on Sunday and Monday. So I did some off-site kind of meeting things down in Fairburn, Georgia, which is about an hour plus from here. And then yesterday we ended up going back downtown again, and we went and ate lunch at this place called The Vortex. You guys can Google it. The Vortex, Midtown, The Vortex in Atlanta, the one on Moreland Street. It's got a big skull on the front entrance. You walk in and they got some of the best burgers in town, and we meandered around L5P for a little bit.
Vortex in Atlanta.
Yeah, just look Google Vortex in Atlanta and look for the one on Moreland Avenue. It's got a big skull on the front door. And it's kind of like a bohemian, kind of artsy fartsy, eclectic kind of neighborhood downtown. So it's got these cool stores like Psycho Sisters, which is all costume wear and costume. Yeah, see there's a skull on the front door.
Dude, that is fucking cool.
Yeah, it's a cool freaking burger joint. Some of the best burgers. Look at the menu after you find the Vortex and you go to the site. You don't have to do it now, John. But, the burgers are absolutely insane. What my buddy had the Fat Elvis, which was like a burger with plantains, peanut butter, and something else on it. I don't know. Then they have one that I think is a contest. It's called the Quadruple Bypass Burger. It has like 20. It has 20 slices of bacon on it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and then I woke up this morning to a very stiff knee. So that's what told me that yes, I'm officially reaching the old bracket. I think it was from all the walk. I went skeet shooting this weekend. I did that.
Oh wow!
But I'm going to redeem myself, John. I'm going to redeem myself wholeheartedly. On the last grocery shopping trip, we were walking through the frozen section, and you're gosh darn right, they were on sale. I bought 2 boxes of Uncrustables. So I'm going to redeem my youth with some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, folks. That's how we're going to do it around here.
All right, let me tell you something that's really good with those. Get a little pan, put some oil in it, get it nice and hot, and deep fry them.
Okay.
They are fucking delicious, dude. I swear to God, they're
you
so
already
good.
know about these Uncrustables.
They're deep fried. Those, oh my God, they're so good. You let it cool down a little bit. When you take a bite out of it, though, and that peanut butter just comes gushing out of there.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's interesting. You even said that because I don't know. Maybe some people here in the chat would remember this, but before the days of the Uncrustables, and I'm not talking about the days where you got your Wonder Bread and you cut the crust off because you just didn't like the crust. I'm talking about. You would just make basically a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but then you would grill it in the pan like a grilled cheese. Yeah, you have like a grilled peanut butter and jelly. That was the best thing ever. It definitely had an edge on the bologna, the fried bologna sandwich. You know, yes, but
yeah, and fried Spam.
Never did that. Although we did grow up with putting plenty of Scrapple in our faces. I don't know if anybody ever ate Scrapple. You would know what I'm talking about. I think it's just the lips and hooves, whatever is left over of the pig at that point. Just whatever's on the floor, they just kind of scoop it up and then they process it and put it into like a pate that you fry.
Whatever was left in the factory at the end of the line was just thrown back into a barrel.
That's it.
Put some gel on it, and they'll eat it.
but yeah, no, I did. A lot of that, Addy. I did a lot of pull. I started off hot. I was hitting most of my targets at the beginning, but then it's like bowling. You know, you go bowling for like 2 hours and then your hand and your legs and everything start to get tired, and then you start, getting really crappy, splits and stuff. I started to miss everything. I felt like
that's good that you even did it. A lot of people need to experience that. It's a lot of fun, skeet shooting. It is a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
It's a good way to learn how to use a shotgun too, the proper way.
Exactly.
My week was nothing like Tim's. Mine was work, yard work. Sun is out. It's beautiful the last week. So been trying to do that. And that is about it. Just work and front yard and back. My backyard right now, you could shoot Mutual Omaha scene in the backyard. That's right now. It's the weeds are at least 3 feet high. I am actually going to need a weed whacker just to get to them. I don't know what it is, Tim. It's just like I'm not one of those guys that spends a lot of time in the backyard. So I kind of forget I have a backyard. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, I need to go in the backyard to go grab something. And I go back there and I looked. I was like, holy shit. Got cats hiding in the fucking bushes. I was like, what? All right, time to cut the backyard.
Got to uncover Wild Kingdom.
It's pretty bad back there. Tim, you know what time it is, buddy?
I think I do. I think I know. I don't know. Maybe call it a premonition, call it a gut feeling. I don't know. It's all coming to me right now. So we'll do this without music. That's okay.
Okay. All right.
No. Go ahead. Do the music.
Okay. All right.
Bring in the music. It's more fun with the music.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, everybody. And welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday. Oh, fuck that. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday Night Live Show. And yes, I did curse. I cursed. I said a bad word. But you know what?
$2 in a cookie jar, Tim.
Who cares,
$2.
right? I mean, I think we're all adults here. I think everyone can get over it. Anyway, let's see who's in the chat. We got the wonderful Addy Emoji King Toonie in the house. Doing well, sir. I hope you are. Yeah, now we're sharing comments, people calling out names. Who else? We got Steve Tottenham saved us by remembering who Trump's kid is, because I don't know. I just knew it started with a B. That's all I knew. Thank you, Steve Tottenham. Welcome to the show. Good to see you, buddy. How are you? We got James the Pirate R in the house. Good to see you, James R. How are you, buddy? Who else we got in here? I know I saw some other name. We got Arthur. Now, I hope I say this right, because a natural reaction would be like Muse, but it's not. There's an I in there. So I'm going to go with Muis. Is it Muis? Am I close? Let me know if I'm close, or I think I asked this before, and I think I was pretty close the last time. But if I have not, let us know. Let us know, Arthur. Welcome to the show. Glad to see you here, man. Who else we got? We got Robert Albert in here. How are you, Robert? Good to see you, man. Who else we got in here? We got Peggy at E6 Source in the house. Good to see you, Peggy. How are you? We got about 13 in the chat right now. Hopefully we'll drag in a few more and have a nice conversation. It's just us. It's just us, folks. Just me and John.
Yeah, that's it. It's just the two guys that started this show.
Hey, you know what? Everything comes full circle, right? Everything comes full circle.
Many moons ago, Tim. Many moons ago.
Oh, so it's Muse. So
Muse.
the I is somewhat silent, because I'm sorry, my mother was a teacher for 40 years. So you have to understand, I live my life under a red pen. So yeah, I do my best to get them right. I don't want to butcher anybody's name. So Muse. All right. Okay. I didn't know there was an alternative way to spell Muse. So fantastic. I like it. I like it with the I in there. It gives it a little panache.
Panache. Again, I apologize for bringing up raids and vaping, and it happened. It happened. Maybe they were listening to the show and they just said, John, we'll get you. We'll get you. U.S. Marshals servers acting on behalf of the FDA and the Department of Justice has seized more than 45,000 unauthorized e-cigarettes. Unauthorized. Now, is that unauthorized for that location?
I'm going to guess it's just unauthorized across the board, right? So unless they have a PMTA that's still under review or somehow was able to stay alive one way or another.
Oh, pretty much in California. So
yeah, a lot of things are going to be considered unauthorized, other than the things that they decided to authorize.
Yeah, in Alhambra, California. Oh, yeah, I didn't see that part of it. I assumed it was somewhere else. So yeah, anything that comes in here is pretty much say hi to Janine.
Yeah. Janine Timmons, great to see you, dear. How are you? Welcome to the show. Yes, she got in here. She's in here. She slid in. Woo, she slid into our DMs.
She slid in. The FDA estimates the seized products are worth, you ready, Tim? $703,000.
Now, how do they value that, though? I mean, what are they really actually looking at, right? Because I mean, what are they just looking at the market and seeing what the average disposable goes for?
I think so.
Because when you think about what they seize, now you threw that number out first. You said 45,000. Is that the number?
Yeah, 45,000 products. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, just looking at the grander scale of things, that doesn't seem like a really big bust to me.
Yeah,
45,000 units. That's not a lot.
Yeah, these are. I mean, if these were headed for a convenience store, I think they will. Okay, well, from what I've seen, is they're running about $25.
Right. So, I mean, that's depending on where you shop. When I got the Cato bars at the
here in Cali, I'm going Cali prices. So. Shit.
What else? That's it. They just got 45,000, 700,000 bucks and called it a day. There's no rhetoric to go along with that.
If I do the 45,000 times 25, that's 1.1 million.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so they must be looking at the commercial invoice that came in with the international shipment, and they're looking at what they valued those vapes at when they were imported in. So that's where they come up with the $700,000. I still am going to call shenanigans on 45,000 units, only because I mean they're rife here in America. So something, and there's always a
Yeah.
little part of me when this shit happens that you feel like it's a bit of a setup, like they knew about this, either they had it in a warehouse somewhere because they confiscated it before, and then they want to go ahead and you're right, Junior.
It would. Yeah.
I mean, Steve, you're right, Steve. That it would. It
I
would.
mean, they're
That's
this
like the
big.
white. Yeah, that's like the white van that kind of like sprint van comes down the road and
Hey,
carrying.
I got speakers. I got the warehouse. We had extra speakers at the warehouse, and you want to buy some? That van.
Right. I mean, and the other thing too that I have to question is, okay, so they had to find it somehow, right? So were they spying on people, and were they aware of it long before it even got into port? Or what? Again, I go back to the whole thing. It's like, even if somebody wanted to bring in all those vapes, they're not going to identify them as vapes,
Right.
more than likely. They're going to say they're gardening chemicals or some shit like that. You know what I mean? They're going to try to throw off the dogs. More than likely dogs were probably involved, but I don't know. There's just something sneaky about that. It just seems kind of strange that they decided to pull this one. So, I don't know. I'm a little bit leery on the legitimacy of all this.
Yeah, although the FDA has teamed up with the Department of Justice before, this marks the first time the DOJ has employed the Marshals service and to aid in seizing the vape or tobacco products, according to the FDA press release. It is unclear why armed law enforcement officers was necessary to seize vape products. I like that part. Well, they didn't need DEA, CIA, FBI, and all the other people to break into Diddy's house, but it's a show of force. They have to have that show of force, and I think this is their way of maybe trying to scare some other individuals that are working the underground market in California.
Well, but let's be realistic, right? I mean, okay, so they can get a few busts along the way. I mean, but that's not going to stop people from trying to get it in any way they possibly can, whether it's across the ground, in the air, on any other kind of land-based travel service. I mean, look at the fentanyl crisis. I mean, if you really want to put, apples to oranges on this one, you know how much fentanyl comes into this country?
Yes, sir.
And it's illegal as hell, right? So I mean, it's not like fentanyl is just some common aspirin over-the-counter type of drug that you can just go in the store and buy, and they get that stuff in hand over fist. So this, to people who are wanting a small success, this will look good. This will be like, you see, we're getting them. Look what they're doing. They're trying to poison our kids. They're shipping those Chinese vapes in here. Keep it up, guys.
Where are those vapes going that they took?
Probably in the officer's back pocket because he needed a vape because he's a smoker for 20 years, and they had strawberry watermelon in there, and that really got his attention.
Would it be funny just to have that some pictures of that seas and there's guys carrying vape pens around? Hold on, let me hit my vape before we bust this guy.
Exactly. Well, one of my friends that was over here this past weekend, he's a vapor. I didn't realize he had switched to vaping, and he actually had a Views unit. Yeah, which I was kind of surprised to see. I'm like, because he comes from the UK, and I'm like, you pretty much have support for that stuff over there. I'm actually shocked that you went with a Views unit. Anyway, I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Hey, what works. Maybe that's
that's what I told him. That's what I told him. I'm like, I'm not gonna criticize what you have in your hand. Who am I to say anything? All I care about is that you're not smoking anymore. So whatever works for you, and that's fine with me. I just thought that people were kind of antithetical to that kind of stuff. They're like, views. Like, who wants a tobacco vape? I don't know. I didn't vape it, so I don't know what he had in the tank.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, someone's here.
Okay. All right. You know what? I bet you it's a roofing consultant. I get roofing consultants all the time. They knock on my door. Oh, wait.
No. In on the show, she just got here on the show.
Oh, Mallory. No, I know Mallory's there. I saw Mallory. Yeah, she said she's there. She's just in the background. She's doing her own thing. That's cool. I know she's here listening to the show. Hold on. I am here. Just had a run by diapering.
Oh, that we're gonna have to explain.
I am here. I'm here. Just had a run by. Oh, I get it. So she right. So there was an individual with a diaper who basically ran by, and I'm gonna guess that there was leaving a bit of a cloud of some kind in the wake, and Mal had to take care of that pretty quick.
Yeah,
I get it. I know. I have friends with kids, and I've seen that. So I don't know. Could have been an animal. Sometimes animals wear diapers too.
Yeah. Well, this is the part of the article I find really funny is that it's unknown the actual date of the siege, so they're not sharing the date that this happened after April 5th, when U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles filed a civil complaint in the Central California U.S. District Court on behalf of the FDA. So we don't know even when. Maybe this did take place before. They probably weren't going to share the information. Then they heard me boasting that they haven't done anything about any seeds and said, let's just share this article. Again, I apologize.
That's okay. It's not your fault, John. You know, these things are inevitable to pop up here and there. They got to look like they're doing something because they're taking a good gut punch here and there with their sort of lackadaisical enforcement. And so I think this was all, if it was for anything, it was for show. It was to kind of just put it out there to let people know, hey, we got our eyes on you. We're watching. We're trying to confiscate stuff getting in. So if you're gonna do it, you're gonna get popped. I would like to know. I would like to know more information about who they seized it from, and what the source of the shipment was, but they may not reveal that information.
I think they were trying to keep everybody over at PAVE happy and tobacco free happy and Bloomberg happy and just say, hey, look, we are trying to do our job. And I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more of this as pressure starts to build on them through Congress. I think you're going to start seeing them trying to do a little bit more than necessary than they have the capabilities of doing. And the problem is there's so much other things going on right now in our country, and them trying to get the DOJ or the Marshals Service or any other federal agency to do their bidding is going to be hard. It's going to be one of those agencies in some city where they got absolutely nothing going on, and they are like, yeah, we could use some press, some good press and something like that. But other than that, I think they're going to have a tough time, but I think they are going to, I think things are going to start really firing up with them. And I think we're going to start seeing them do some things I think that they wouldn't have done if they weren't being pressured by Congress and with this PMTA and the Supreme Court and all this other stuff, and them being I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more of the iron fist from them.
No, I agree. And to Janine's question, yes, that was a Photoshop pic. John and I talked about that really early on when he brought up the fact that he had the article in his hand, and we think that was just done as just a picture to go along with the article kind of thing. We don't. I don't think that was from them. I don't think that was from them. I think that was just for the article itself. No, I agree. I'm with you on the element that I think it was done primarily for show, so to justify their cause, just to make it look like they're actually doing something. There's so many issues. I mean, they got to have eyeballs on a million other things at one time. So to do this, it gets people off their back for a little while. They think that they're in the background just sniffing containers left and right and trying to find stuff. What's up, sick boy?
Sick boy.
Yep.
So Jason's here.
Jason,
he made it.
Jason CN Vapes is here. Community Notes Vapes. Jason
Community you're gonna give him some acronyms now.
No, I deemed him Jason Community Vapes, Community Notes Vapes a couple weeks ago. So he's had that moniker. He's had that moniker for a little bit, but I know he wears it proud. He wears it proud.
He wears it.
Yeah, I mean, they can't possibly keep up And like that was, it was mentioned, it was more or less, just the 10% that gets caught. That, I'm sure there's stockpiles of it somewhere in the States already. There's probably storage containers and units all over the place.
Oh God! I just give me
stacked up.
one. Just drop one of those. What are those? What are those moving pods? Remember the
Pods, yeah.
pods?
Just drop a pod off at your house.
Just drop it off in my house. I'll make that stuff go away. No problems. Since the FDA began enforcing against vaping manufacturers and selling, the agency says it has issued about 1,200 warning letters, Tim. 1,200. Whoa. And filed more than 150 civil money penalties complaints. I didn't know that the money part was in a civil penalty complaint, but I guess that's how they say it. Civil money penalty complaints.
Okay.
Is also it shut down 6. Oh, here you go. Shut down 6 tiny vape businesses in 2022 and another one last year. Just one last year.
Hard at work. How
do we get a job at the FDA, Tim?
Well, they don't want me working at the FDA because I'd have one of those guys with a file that thick because I'd be insubordinate all the time. So.
Somebody in the chat filed for a job over at FDA, so we can get them straight. The agency shift to, I like this Jim's wording here, whack-a-mole war against disposable. The whack-a-mole. The whack-a-mole.
That's the common term we hear. It's like, you're standing around trying to find something and waiting for that gopher to pop up out of the hole so you can hit it. So that's, they're just they're chasing a moving target. And I'm sure it's hard. You can't have eyes on everything all the time. You got, I mean, the way with the consumer market and with as much stuff that comes in from overseas vis-a-vis the sea and via container, you can't stop the flow too much in the name of trying to impose not regulation but enforcement on a lot of these things. Yeah, because if you're holding up everybody's container, you're causing damage to businesses everywhere because everybody's got stuff coming in on containers. Those shipyards are amazing.
Jenny, Mallory, I'd probably get through the hiring process and the interview, but then I probably get fired like the first week. It'd be like,
can you request which department you want to work in when you get hired by the FDA?
I don't know.
Can I immediately be placed into the PMTA approval process?
Yeah, you can tell them you're a tobacco specialist. I specialize in tobacco.
I can embellish on my resume. They'll never know.
They don't check.
I've got over a decade of experience with vapes, so I'm very well versed. So
you would think they would need some of us in there, Hey,
Hey, we know what it looks like. We know what it smells like. Can't promise you that it won't be like taking the mustard packets home from work. Might be one of those jobs.
Yeah. So like I said, I think this is just the beginning. I think with a lot of the pressure that they're having, not just Congress and knowing that eventually this suit is going to make its way to the Supreme Court and then losing everywhere in Fifth Court appeals, Sixth Circuit appeals. And then on top of it, they do have the wonderful ladies over at PAVE on their asses as well. I'm sure they call them a couple times a week and ask them what's going on and what are they doing. Got tobacco free on their ass. I'm sure they got Bloomberg on their ass. And let's not forget, I'm sure they have RJ Reynolds or on their ass, or Altria's on their ass. So I think it's time. This time is getting nearer to where I think they need to start acting, and I think that may be a little dangerous. So if you are, I shouldn't say this, if you are a black market dealer, get creative.
Yep. No, Jason, I feel you, brother. I think we all need a little break from the social medias after it becomes almost too stressful after a while. It's like you get so hemmed up, getting frustrated with all the stuff you have to read and hear and see from, and that's across the board. It is. That's what social media is designed to do, right? It's
Yep.
designed to get you riled up. It's designed to make you think things are 1,000 times worse most of the time. Not to say that, not everything is great. I'm just saying it's built. I mean, what's Twitter? Twitter is effectively a mass pool of advocates and
A huge
opinionated
soundboard.
politicians, like armchair politicians who just have
Yeah.
a lot of shit to say about stuff. Um, but it's worth the effort, I mean, don't worry, Jason, if you take a little time off, there's still plenty of people that are still pushing the message. So
Yeah. And don't forget to clean your fish good. Don't want to get sick.
well, no, fishing's a night. Well, we know Paul all too well. That's what he seems to do every day of his life now. He's always out somewhere fishing. So
Yeah. I try to mix it up. I use all of them a little differently. Twitter's my serious one. Sometimes I get a little goofy on there. Yes, I do. But if I need a good laugh and not actually worry about actual real news, I go to TikTok because TikTok is all bullshit, and it just it makes me laugh. I think that some people, I have run into a few people that take TikTok as an actual news source, and I'm like, you better realize what you're seeing isn't fucking actual. It's may have been a story, but it's been very much altered.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of nice too. I mean, and well, we'll see if it can manage to stay alive. I mean, I don't think it'll get banned, but there's a lot of talk
well, it's
about it
shut
now.
down now, right? It's completely
No,
shut down. Well, no. If you
it's not
delete it
shut.
right now, you cannot reinstall it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, all
that's
right.
what's happening. So no
Okay.
new users.
And that's fine. I
Yeah,
would say, at least from a TikTok perspective, at least in that regard, I can kind of get away from some of the
yeah,
vaping stuff, because it's just not allowed in those same channels. I wish that advocacy could be more prevalent
yeah,
on that platform, just simply because I think that if I think people are inclined to listen to that a little bit more. I don't know that they get a lot of their news. Stuff I read on Twitter half the time seems like they're mostly just people lying, flat out lying, just
yeah,
pushing false narratives and stuff.
yeah.
So it'd be good if there was a little bit more of an advocacy hole there. But it is what it is.
And
It
it's
is what it is.
hard that you're right, because I don't think anybody is actually using it as an advocacy platform for vaping. I think most of even the YouTube reviewers are using it for kind of quick shorts to their videos on YouTube, trying to send them over there from
Yep.
there. So yeah, no one is actually really using that platform for advocacy. I wish I could stream this show on there. I know there's a way to do it, but it would be weird. I don't know. If I could figure it out completely, something about RTMP or something like that, and setting it up to stream, it would be it'd be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Uh, well,
Don't
good for
kill
you,
yourself.
Jimmy.
Don't kill
Don't kill
yourself.
yourself. Don't kill yourself. I thought we before we jump into news and advocacy, I thought we had a little fun, Tim. So
Sure.
I'm going to ask you a question,
Okay.
and everyone in chat.
All right.
Now, I'm not talking about current or say the last 5 years of vape products, but during your journey into vaping and getting into different products, and whether it's a mouth to lung device or an RDA. What was that one product? Because this is what I was thinking about the other day, that you said, this is it. This is the best that it can get. And you were just blown away by the innovation, and you thought to yourself, okay, can't get any better than this. What was that one first product? Tim turns around and looks at the table.
Well, you know what? I think it's like when you go to the grocery store and your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and
Yeah.
you just you're hungry, and then you just see all this great stuff, and then
Yeah.
you get home and then you realize it wasn't that good.
I
There's a
don't
lot
even
of
like I don't even
there
like
was
chocolate.
a lot of stuff that I bought thinking that it was going to be awesome, just based on reviews I had read, and I thought that it was really going to kind of set it apart and really make the biggest difference. But I'd have to say it was probably the triad mod that I have. I thought that was really sort of it had the triad mod had the Yeehee chip in it, and so I thought that it was was it the Yeehee chip in it? The triad?
I can't remember.
Lost Vape Triad. What's on a Lost Vape Triad? I don't know. It had it had some of the best temp control stuff on it. I thought it performed really well. I thought that from a aesthetical kind of form factor perspective, I thought it was the best. And then as far as the tank on top of it, I really kind of thought like the Zeus RTA was going to be the one that would keep me there the whole entire time. Although, just like with everything else, you get it and it performs well, and it still performs well, but then other stuff kind of comes along and it kind of tops it off.
Yeah.
It's like beats it out.
I thought for sure, and I was right, that a lot of people, well, two so far said the Nautilus, and I got to agree with you there. That was one of them. But for me, it was even, I think they both came out about the same time, but it was that Kanger tank, that first Kanger sub-ohm tank, and those first set of, I think 0.5 coils that came out. I was like, oh, wow, crap, this is frigging nuts. For me, going from the blue and then to those little Atomizers that were, with the string in there, and all of a sudden the silica, and then all of a sudden seeing this tank, and I'm like, okay. And I remember buying it right away when I saw it, and I think it was either Mark or God, it was one of the two. It was either Mark or Grim Green, or no, not Grim. It was Mark or the other guy, the clown. What's his name?
Clown.
The clown. The Rip Trippers.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, okay, I gotta have this. And I remember following the instructions, making sure that the coil was well saturated. Everything was good to go. And I took that first hit out of there. I said to myself, okay, this is the best it's going to get. I really thought this was it. I don't see anyone coming out with something better than this. It was perfect airflow, perfect flavors. Those, and granted, the first set of coils that came out with it was amazing. Then they got kind of stupid. But yeah, I don't remember that tank leaking. I don't remember that tank having issues whatsoever with O-rings or filling it or any of that stuff. For me, that K-Fun, that first original K-Fun sub-ohm tank with the 0.5 coils, that was, to me, I thought for sure, game changer, complete game changer for me. And the Nautilus too. I mean, I think the Nautilus is the first sub-ohm tank, if I remember correctly. I think it was the first.
To me, it's the same thing, though. It's like something. Well, I would love to be able to agree on the K-Fun 2014. I got a couple. I got a K-Fun, back then when they came out, and it gave me problems. I had leaks on it all the time. I really didn't know quite at that point what I was doing with, like making coils and stuff. I thought I was doing things right, but the K-Fun I struggled with quite a bit.
I did it first as well. I did the same, and to me, with the K-Fun, it's just the size of the coil and your wicking. If you got the wicking, great. It was amazing, but if you got it wrong, back then, you remember, you couldn't fix your coil without losing every ounce of fluid, every ounce of e-liquid that you had in the tank. So it was, times have changed now where we can replace the coil or fix a coil and still keep our e-liquid in the tank. But back then, if you needed to fix a coil or you got something wrong or you didn't wick it right and it was leaking, you had to basically dump out what you had in there. But yeah, the wicking was really important on that thing. If you wicked it too tight, then you weren't getting a lot of dry hits. If you wicked it too loose, it would come out towards the air vents. So yeah, it was.
What was that one thing? I'll tell you the one thing that I thought was like the greatest thing that here I can remind you one thing. I wish I could remember the product line, and I'm sure like Mallory or somebody who's been vaping for a long time. But remember back in the day when we used to use the bridged atomizers, you know, because we would use those as the taste testers all the time.
Tasters.
Because that was back in the day when vape companies, you could still buy like sample packs and stuff. You get like 5 or 6 little 10 mil bottles, like a Five Ponds used to do that all the time. You could get their little sampler tube. Remember, all the bottles came in the little cardboard tubes and stuff. And there was this one. I don't know what the glass was made of, but there was this company that made these glass kind of tanks, and they, you know, had a hole in the top and the bottom with like a little grommet, you know, or a little O-ring inside each hole. And I remember that the ads on YouTube, and it was this type of glass that was like nearly indestructible. And they would like the videos on YouTube, they would take the glass tank and they would like throw it against the wall. Like it would like the video was them like in their garage or something. The manufacturers of this glass composite material that they made, and it had like a top cap and a lower cap. So it kind of looked like an RTA tank, but with a hole in the top and the bottom. And what you had to do was you would put the bridged atomizer inside the two, you know, press it up through the 2 holes. And the idea behind it is to allow you to use a bridged atomizer in a tank format so that you could have a lot of juice. I don't remember what the mil capacity on it. I still have it somewhere in the boxes. And you could get them, and you know, you could get them engraved on. You know, they were engraved. Like you could get designs print like laser blasted onto them, so like dragons and, you know, smiley faces or whatever. And I thought that was going to be the answer, because what I learned on YouTube is you could take the bridged atomizer and you could take like a Dremel tool and a little wheel cutter, and you could cut like little slots inside the side of the canister of the bridged atomizer. And you would take the bridged atomizer, you would cut the little slots in it, and then you would push it up into this tank. So then your bridged atomizer had the 510 kind of coming out the bottom, enough to screw it into whatever, you know, ego twist thing you were using. I mean, the tank looks stupid sitting on top of whatever you're using because it was always bigger. Someone will remember it. I can't Google it and find it, because like, what search term am I going to use? But yeah, I thought I was like, perfect. I was like, 'cause now I got plenty of juice to go the mile, and it's just gonna be. But it was always a mess, right? Because you know, something would go wrong with the bridged atomizer, or it would start to, you know, burn out on you, or wasn't working as well, and then you'd have like this tank full of juice, you know, with the atomizer shoved in there, and there was no way you couldn't preserve it. You couldn't turn it on its side or anything. You had to basically blow all your juice out, because you'd have to pull that atomizer out of there, or something would happen and it would slide in the O-rings and all that stuff. I gotta find the name.
The Zamplebox sold the bridge atomizers, and they recommended a lot of people buying them to sample juice. So this way you weren't filling your tank up, or, you know, with the juice that you might not like. So you could sample it with those bridge atomizers. They sold a lot of those. I remember I was buying packs of them myself, and I thought, oh, this is great. You know, I can still sample it, and, you know, and before I put it in a 5 mil tank. And then I gotta say, I might get a lot of hate for this, but one of the first RTAs that I used, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever made, and I still love the device, and I'm upset at myself for giving it away. But someone, a friend of mine, quit vaping, and then for about 2 years came back and started vaping again, and he didn't have anything. So I sent him a care package, and I put this RTA in there, and it was the Geek Vape Avocado 22. Man, I absolutely loved that device, that RTA, and the flavor was always banging. It was simple to wick. It was simple to put coils in, and I absolutely love that thing. And if I could buy one right now, I would buy one right now if it was still available. I know they went with like a 24 or 25 later, but it wasn't quite the same as the 22. I think having that smaller chamber with that device, I think made a difference when it came to flavor. But yeah, the avocado 22. I know a lot of people hated that RTA, but I absolutely loved that thing. It was a great.
I'm trying to find the name of that company because they would ship it to you like in a little velvet bag. It was like this big deal.
Cisco LR510 D bridge atomizer.
Well, I think a lot of us got the bridgeless atomizers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of those, but I was trying to Google tank for a bridgeless atomizer, but I can't find the thing. So anyway, it felt like it was like a Pyrex glass. I don't remember what. I just remember that it was like this really tough, indestructible kind of glass, and that was their selling point. Was they would throw it at the wall or throw it at the floor, and it would just sort of bounce and stuff. But it's not important. It's an old school thing.
It's not important.
It's not important. It would be cool. It's cool to reminisce on all these things that you buy over the years, right? Because it truly is a journey. It's not solely about quitting smoking at the expense of finding an alternative product that works for you and is safer for you. But it's a journey about your progression, right? Because you want to try new things and innovation comes along and improvements happen and stuff like that. So,
hey, Geeky Vape, if you're listening, bring it back. Bring the avocado back.
I never had one of those.
You never had?
Never had one of those.
I love that thing. That thing was it was the best. It was the best. And then things started to change. I got into RDAs and then trying to find the right one. And we all go down that loophole where it's just like, okay, you got to buy the best of the best. And do you really want to spend $75 on an RDA? And I learned my lesson real quick that yes, you do want to spend $75 on an RDA because screws don't strip. The bridge doesn't break. The pins don't break. The O-rings worked.
Right.
Yeah. I miss those days. Those days where it was just simple. You know what I mean? It was simple. You had your deck and you put 2 coils in there, you wicked it, and you just went at it. You know?
Yep. No, those were the days. I kind of felt like at that point, like when we were actually, when kind of the post Clone Wars, like after the Clone War thing kind of ended and people started like creating really, really cool RDAs, RTAs and stuff like that. And we kind of had this hobby built into, a life change, really. I mean, it was like a wholesale life change and we felt better for ourselves. Our family felt better for us. We knew that we were on the path of finally escaping smoking. I mean, because let's be real, that's probably one of the toughest struggles any of us would ever have to go through. Once you start smoking, and it just becomes part of your social life and it becomes part of your routine, it's really one of the toughest things to kick. I mean, I tried to go cold turkey a couple times and it didn't last long, so when vaping came around and you start kind of venturing into that community and you start becoming part of the movement itself, it was, it was like those real proud moments. It's like, I want to share this with all my friends. I want to share, like, look at this cool hobby that I have that's also saving my life.
This was the deck. This is where'd it go? There, that's the deck. I love that deck, and it gave you that little ceramic plate. So if you wanted to go single coil, you could, but with the little ceramic where you go dual coils, and it was just so easy to put 2 coils on that setup, and then just drop your wicks into that little tank, and it was it was the best thing. And the plume veil, one of my all-time favorites there, Jason. I still have that RTA in a box. I know that if I go and open it right now, the O-rings would be disintegrated in there. But that one, the Patriot, it was a big one for me. I love that Patriot, and I know we all. Okay, they made 10,000 of the Volk. Was it the The Vulcan, not the Vulcan. What was the one that they made 10,000, but they sold 1.5 million of them, and I can't remember it. And it was like it was like one of the first $100 RDAs, and everybody had one, and it was just it got cloned so quickly, and I can't remember the name of it. Somebody will remember it, but it had the everybody would comment any deck. It had that similar deck that I just showed you on the Geek Vape avocado, and it was everything. You had the velocity. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, 10,000 of those were technically made by the actual company, but somehow 1.5 million of them got sold. Oh man, that was funny. That was funny. How about your device? Was there the device that you felt you kept in your possession longer than most of the other ones? You just like the way the hand felt in your hand?
Well, somebody would definitely debate me on this one because I know that there's a lot of people that were like had horrible experiences with it. I never had one problem with any of the products I ever got from them, but I would say probably the one thing that lasted me the longest, that was the most reliable, that to me performed well. And being that you could put 3 batteries in it, you
Yes.
definitely. I have to say it was probably the Wismec 200S.
Yeah.
Was probably for me. I mean, it was just felt well made. It was
Game
well
changer.
constructed. Oh, I mean, I was at a party one night with that thing, and I dropped it on a concrete floor, and everything just sort of exploded. Right. I mean, the batteries came flying out of it. The back plate came off of it. But I just slapped it all back together. It had a few scratches on it. The paint started coming off of it. Yeah, man, hold on, let me grab it.
I still have mine. I can go grab mine. Yeah, that thing was that was a real game changer when it came out. I think everybody was like, "Oh wow, 3 batteries," and that was, yeah, you're right. It was actually one of those devices that was Jabo that actually was very well built, well put together. There it is. Yours still looks brand new, man. Mine doesn't look
you can
nothing
see
like there you go.
the paint came off of it. The door was magnetic. So
Yeah.
I mean, it just so that's why it flew off when it hit the ground, because I mean it just disengaged the magnets. But you could put 3 batteries in there. So you put 3 18650s in there, so it lasted you a lot longer than just a two battery sled. It was all metal, I mean, it wasn't an ounce of plastic on it other than maybe the buttons on it. Like I said, and then you didn't have a problem with the trap door battery sleds and all that stuff where like there was no hinges, there was no nothing. You just took the back off of it. And then after that, they came out with that Wismec 2.3. So the 2.3 came out, and that one you could get the separate back plate. So if you only wanted it to have 2 batteries, you can make it more slender, or you would get the extended back piece, and then you could still do 3. But that thing was reliable through thick and thin. The only thing that was wrong with it was that it would misread. It would misread. It had a little dust on there. I feel it. Look at that. That's I have my little. You can't see it, but I have like my little mini J Hayes wall back there. But it had problems with the 510 pin.
510,
yeah. So sometimes it wouldn't read atomizers correctly, and sometimes it would not. I don't know if it was the chipset itself or if it was directly related to the 510. But it sometimes it would read coils weird, or they would misread. So I learned that quickly when I finally decided to let go of my fanaticism with the Wismec devices.
Felt good in the hand, though. It was just one of those mods that just
diamond
felt
shaped.
good.
You got it sat in the heel of your palm really well, right up inside the crook of your thumb as you grabbed around it. Fire button was right on the front. So you had everything was like in really good positioning. It was small. It was fit in your entire palm. It wasn't, one of these longer things. You didn't have to hold it weird to hit the button and all. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
You and I are alike, because that's the device I had picked. And it's just, that was, to me, was a game changer. And you're right. I mean, also, the fact that I could go throughout the day much longer using that device. You know, it sucked that I had to pair 3 batteries with it and make sure that I use those 3 batteries all the time, you know, and I had 6 batteries just dedicated to that device, set aside, you know, because I didn't want to, you know, mess around and, you know, not and use them in a different device. And yeah, no, it was one of those devices that I think was a big time game changer. And I think Jabo, that's the device that kind of set him apart from everybody else for quite a while until
Yeah,
he
I was so, because when I was a younger vapor coming up through the ranks, I mean, you know, you had, what was the one that we all had? This one. I can't remember the name of it. Hold on. It was, oh God, darn it. I can't remember the name of it. Hold on.
he's got to look. It's old brains, man. It's old brains. Mine too, that's one, but then I went from that to I started buying DNA devices, and that was the my transition into the Lost Vape. Bought Lost Vape. Yeah, because I went from that and I started buying Lost Vape. Yeah, all the IPv4.
No, this isn't an IPV. This was who made this stupid thing? Come on, people, help me out here right now.
Dude, that's the
we all had one.
Yeah, that's
we all
the
had
oh
one.
God, what
And
is
you
it,
could
dude?
upgrade this, because this was one of the first ones that you could upgrade, because when you got it, I think it only went to like 120 watts or something like that. And then you could upgrade it to 200 watts or something.
Yeah, that was
like
the 150. They had a 100 and a 150, the two that came out, the original
Maybe that's
ones.
what it was, 100 to
and 150 and Sigelli.
The Sigelli, that's it. The Sigelli,
Sigelli 150 and the Sigelli 100. Yeah, those are beasts, dude. If you want to sell that, let me know.
Oh no, it's this is there you go. Well, the Fu Chai had a very similar shape. I like the shape of that one too. It kind of was kind of a rectangle, but it had the rounded edges on it. But I really like the Fu Chai. But I get, my point is that, you know, when you started coming up through the ranks and you started going to the box mods, these were your shaped options. They were these, like the MVP. They were kind of like a rectangular standard box mod. And so when I got the Wismec and it had a completely different form factor on it, I was so resistant to wanting to go back to any kind of a mod that had that kind of a shape, you know, because it was bigger in your hand. The button's still in the same place, but I mean, but all this stuff still works. I mean,
everything about the Wismec was great. The RX2. The only problem was you couldn't put it in your fucking pocket. You just could. You look like you were walking around with a fucking stiffy.
Like, hey, yeah, exactly. Hey, is that your vape, or are you just happy to see me?
Is that your mod, or are you just happy to see me? Both.
Yeah. But I did not have. So I know that there was a couple 200s. So there was the original 200 that came out that I think had a different chip in it.
Right, and they had
Jabo DNA in it.
Yeah,
they had a DNA chip in it, and then the 200S came out, and it was a little bit more affordable. Remember, everybody in there, Grim, and for your vape budget hands, I couldn't afford the DNA chips. Yeah,
I went from those to Lost Vape. I started buying Lost Vape, and I still have I got one Lost Vape device that it still works. The button's not. I got to replace the button, but that one has 225,000 hits on it.
Really?
It's still going. It's still going. And then the other one has 187,000 puffs on it, and that one, the screen finally went out. I can't see the screen. So someone told me I can replace the screen on it and still use it, but I'm just like, you know what? Put it away. It's been beaten. It's been dropped. I mean, it's got scratches on it, chips, chunks of metal off of it from being dropped. But yeah, I got stuck in that Lost Vape world for quite some time, and I just figured, okay, I can buy this device, pay $175 for it, and not need a device for a few years. Because that's what I started noticing. Is I was like, I was buying devices, and you know, right at that $50 to $75 range, and I was noticing I was starting to, you know, about 3 to 6 months down the road, I started running into issues with like screens or misreading a coil and then firing at a higher level and then causing me to get a really nasty dry hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I started saying, okay, instead of buying two or three devices a year, just wait and just buy the one. And then that's when I started getting into the EE chips and DNA. And then, dot mod came around, and I've really never had any issues with dot mod stuff. So I don't know what chip they use in there, but I've never had any issues with them not firing or misfiring or reading a coil wrong or anything like that. So yeah, I just, I kind of stepped away from the I never bought a smock alien. I never had an alien. Did you have an alien, Tim?
No, never had an
No,
alien.
yeah,
No,
I
I
never
didn't have
bought
too
one.
many I didn't have too many smoke products. For me, smoke was never about the actual. I had like the smoke 40-watt little AIO thing or whatever that thing is.
Yeah,
But yeah, for me, smoke was more about the tanks. That's
yeah,
I was buying the tanks, the little baby beast and all that stuff. I was buying that stuff because that was coming out, and that was when we kind of had started having the argument about the quality of the coils and smoke products. Because you would,
yeah.
like you say several times, you get it brand new and they put a couple coils in the kit, and you
Bombing
use those
coils.
coils, and they're like amazing coils. They
Yeah,
last a lot longer than the thing you had before. And then the moment you start getting to the point where you have to start buying replacement coils, it's
yeah.
like it just. But everybody complained about the coil life
Remember the
on the baby
Zamplebox
beast.
room? Remember
Yeah,
the Zamplebox family page? Hey
yeah,
man, I'm getting dry. Okay, take your coil, get a needle, and start poking holes in the cotton on the side of it. It'll wick better. I'm like,
yeah,
come on, dude. Just don't buy it. Stop buying it. Go
yeah.
buy something else.
But even those were interesting times because we could run to YouTube to find troubleshoots
Yeah.
and like life hacks for your vape problems.
Yep.
It's
Well,
like that. It just such robust times.
yeah, what pissed me off with smoke was the fact that they put out a whole coil. They put out a whole line of coil using the wrong freaking O-ring. And it's
Yeah,
just like, well, wait a minute. Quality control should have said, hey, that's the wrong O-ring to use. This is going to leak. Remember the leaking issue they had, and it was all due to that stupid little coil, stupid little uh, washer gasket at the bottom of the tank, and you
yeah.
just got to replace it. I go, why would I have to that should have been something they did, not me.
Well, maybe that's just indicative of
Yeah,
when a product lines start to take off,
yeah,
and things get popular. Inevitably, around the horn, there's going to be
yeah,
people trying to rush to the finish line to get something to market. And granted, I'm sure a large portion of the people that work in those companies were vapors and stuff like that, but they don't
yeah,
test things
yeah.
the way that they normally would
I
because it's all about getting it out to market.
Yeah, I did like their idea of using the different colored O-rings to distinguish the ohm readings on coils. I thought that was brilliant on their end, because a lot of times, some of us old people, we can't see those little numbers on the side of so being able to have a colored chart, knowing, okay, the yellow is 5.5, 0.5, uh, red is 0.1, and it was nice. That was smart on their end. I thought it was brilliant, them doing that. But yeah, they had I think that's the reason I kind of stayed away from smoke stuff, is just because they just seem to have some issues here and there with their products, and it seemed like to me, from what I've read on the Zamplebox family pages, that they weren't dealing with the issue themselves. They weren't
Right.
fixing it. They
Yep.
were just saying, okay, we'll throw out some new coils, and there was a time there where they were, I mean, it was tank after tank after tank after tank, and they just kept changing the number behind it. So it'd be just
Yep.
like,
Yep. Well,
um,
Arthur, that's so is it the device that fails on you, or is it the tank that starts to fail on you? Because we're kind of dealing with two separate components here. So, dare I say, I don't know. I kind of have like an old way of thinking. It's like you kind of get what you pay for. And I'm not saying that smoke keeping their products cheaper essentially always equals bad product or bad item, or so the mod itself. Because sometimes you can get stuff that's $30, $35, $40
Yeah.
that will last you a lifetime. And then sometimes you get something that's 30, buy something that's 75 or 80 and it doesn't generally perform as well. So I mean, that's a tough
Yeah.
decision. The one thing is just listen to what people in the community have to say, things that they've bought. Like if you had here being my first question. I mean, even if you wanted to stay with smoke, and because I'm cool with all that too, but like what in what budget range would you want to spend? Like what to you, what's enough money to spend on a mod? And maybe we can come up with a few recommendations. I'm sure
Yeah.
people here in the chat can throw out a few names for durable ones. Because what did everybody buy for the longest time though? Everybody was buying like the Geek Vape mod, the one that was basically
Built like a tank.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what was the name of that one? It had like the rubber protection on it.
I forgot the name of that damn thing. Yeah, I can't remember the name, but I always told people in the Zamplebox family page, I always told them, dude, look at your lifestyle, look what where you, if you're in construction, yeah, buy something a little bit more durable. If you're in an office environment and you're not a clumsy person, I mean, no one in chat right now, or Tim and myself, can say we've never dropped a mod. I don't think there's anybody that can say they have never dropped a mod.
Thank you, sick boy. Yeah, I just got
The Aegis.
yeah. No, Arthur, the Aegis Legend mod was one like that. That it was kind of built for people who wanted something durable that could kind of take a licking and keep on ticking and stuff like that. And they weren't very expensive at all. Now, I don't think they're in production anymore. So if you're able to find one, I'd be a little leery about what you're buying, unless Geek Vape has them on their site. They're still dropping them for about $62. They're still showing that they've got them in stock.
Yeah.
Wait, are you missing a? Is that you got $0 to spend, or is that missing a number?
Yeah, well, I could spend $0 or a little less.
and we would all love to be able to do that. So if anybody's got an Aegis Legend laying around they don't need, get in touch with Arthur. No, but people love those because they were really durable. Everybody seemed to have really good success with them.
Yeah.
They look nice. You know what I mean? They kind of had a nice design element.
It's 100. You said 100.
About 100. So I mean, if you go to the Geek Vape website, they are still selling the Geek Vape L200 for about $62. It's the Legend 2, but they looks like they have a few colors. Looks like they have.
It's a durable mod, and it's like I said, if you're in an environment where if you do drop it, it's not dropping on carpet or a wooden floor, but you're an outdoor person, or you're in construction, or you buy something that's going to take a beating, man.
Well, right, because think about it for a minute, though, right? I mean, Smoke is not going to probably do a lot of major drop testing with their devices. Smoke was always more about trying to make sure that they could create affordable products for people to get into vaping. And of course, like with a lot of things, it's inevitably it's kind of like the iPhone versus Android argument, and you went through these amalgams where people would argue either on the side of Smoke or away from Smoke. But Geek Vape specifically made this unit with durability in mind. So you can bet that the one thing that they were looking to test for was, could it sustain drops or bumps or falls and things like that. So what's the first thing that needs to get protected? And that's the electronics on board. Can the wiring and the soldering hold up? Is the chip going to be able to withstand shock impact and stuff like that? So, I mean, that would right there, is credit to their design that they built that, reasonably priced. It's not too crazy expensive.
Yeah, I think you get it cheaper.
Yeah, and just look around. I mean, if Geek Vape's still pushing them out of their own warehouse, then there's got to be some distributors online that are carrying them.
Even a vape shop. You might find one in the vape shops, just sitting around in a box, still hasn't been sold. I mean, that was one of those very popular mods. And going back to Smoke, I think what Smoke did early in the game was they realized that they needed to put their product everywhere, and there wasn't a shop that you could go into that didn't have a Smoke product, whether it was their tanks or their mods or their RDAs. They had them. They had their coils were always in stock, and that was the other thing I think that benefited them in early in the game was the ability that, yeah, this is a cheaper device. And yes, I can just, if I'm in a pinch and I'm in some town and I go into a vape shop, guess what? I'm going to find Smoke coils, and you're all, the other device as well was Aspire. There isn't a shop in the country that you can walk in and not find Aspire coils and Smoke coils. You're going to always find those coils readily available. Yeah, there you go. That's their page, right? That's the company page.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it bigger so we can see it.
That's what she said.
Oh, sorry. Didn't know they had a mouse
hey,
over
that
chat.
Guy, that dude bought one, just bought one. And that guy just bought an Aegis Nano 2 kit.
That's
$62. That's not bad.
$62. Looks like they only got black, and then they got this one that has kind of like the brown leather look, but it's slick looking. You know what I mean? It's not an ugly looking vape.
You're right, Janine.
I can't get it on screen every time I move my mouse. This website has
a. What did this guy just buy? He bought a 4-pack of coils.
It's got that leather grip on it and stuff like that. Anyway, that would be what I would recommend without trying to get too crazy expensive or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my recommendation.
Yeah, do a little shopping, do a little digging on Google. Yeah, I think you'll find it. Yeah, and like I said, there may be a vape shop that has one. You never know. A lot of that stuff sits around. You're going to pay a little more in the shop, but you're getting it today. That's how I always look at it. I'm going to pay a little more, but I'm going to get it today.
Yeah, I would check some U.S. distributors and see if they got you. They're right. You would be waiting a bit if you bought it from overseas. It's probably about a 3-week trip to get that sucker.
Oh God, remember those days?
Yeah. all the days on Fast Tech.
Fast Tech, that's it. That was the name.
Yeah, buying crap from Fast Tech, and then you have to wait 3 weeks to get your stuff. But it showed up though.
It showed
up. Like they weren't like a scam or anything like that.
No, it was Fast Tech, but it traveled on a slow tech.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, and it came in a DHL package. Always came in a DHL package.
Just some poly bag or something like that. But it made
that looked like it's been beaten the shit out of.
Well, God, I mean, remember, I think we shared a picture like eons ago. There was a picture of like the distribution coming out of Fast Tech, and they showed like what one of the distribution facilities looks like at a place like that. And it's just like mountains of stuff in bags. Like I'm like, how do they even keep track of it? Like, how does that stuff successfully make it?
It's nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Somehow, some way, it got to your door. That's like Tim was saying, and I'm saying, just it's tough. Like I said, I don't think anyone here has never dropped a mod. I mean, it's hard. I remember getting my first TVL tube mod the first time I bought a mech mod. And I got it from TBL. I was super excited. It was the rig, and I had it 2 days. I remember I posted pictures of it on Zam. I don't know if you were around there, and I dropped it. And I dropped it in the worst place it could be dropped, and it was right on the button because it had an insert button on the bottom of it. And when it fell, it hit that corner and broke, bent into the button. So the mod was basically useless. I gave it to my brother. He works at a machine shop, and he couldn't fix it either. So $110 tube mod from TVL in the toilet. I felt like shit. I did go and buy another one. Jeffrey.
Mr. Zamora. How are you? Real quick, Arthur, just on a whim, I just checked Element Vapes, got it, and they have a starter kit for $60. Comes with a tank too.
With the tank,
$60, you get the whole thing. And it's in stock, so you can still get it there. I don't know about all the colors, but you can test it.
Tammy, I say you copy that link and put it in the chat for.
I will.
There you go. Oh,
It's
yeah.
coming. There you go, Arthur. It's right there at the bottom.
And Tim's brought it up. I mean, that was part of our it was part of our journey, and I think was part of the journey that also helped us quit smoking. Is just venturing into different products, going from mouth to lung devices, going from blues to sub-ohm tanks to RTAs to RDAs to whatever else was out there. It was fun. It was fun being able to to get a new tank every month, or get a new device every month, and learning how to use it properly, and wicking it properly, and doing all that. That was the fun part of it. And I think with the current times, the last 5-10 years, I think I'm willing to bet that with the introduction of the disposables, I'm willing to bet that the sales of RTAs and RDAs have come down somewhat, and I think China has noticed that itself, and I think that's why we don't see too much innovation in RTAs or in RDAs. It's basically it seems to me lately, I've been looking at them, there's not a lot of changes that are being done. The decks still seem to be the same.
Yeah,
They're getting wider. They're getting wider.
They're getting wider, but I mean, I think that was a unique time in our lives when vaping was sort of making its own advances at that time, and it was just a natural progression to give people more control over how they wanted to vape. And then inevitably, with a lot of things, like I could compare it to a lot of other industries. I mean, you look at the drone industry, for example, the RC drone industry. But anyway, my point is that as the element advances, it becomes more unique, more customizable, more unique to the user, because we all have different vaping styles, and we all have different tastes and likes, and maybe people are flavor chasers, and maybe some people are cloud chasers. And I mean, really, it's all about one thing, right? It's all about staying away from smoking, but it does exemplify the uniqueness of the vaping the vaping industry, in that we all don't need the same thing. We need something specific to us that helps us. And so, but what happens with a lot of industries, especially ones that tend to take off, I'm not shocked that the industry turns to more user-friendly type things, right? Things that are easier to operate, things that are easier to understand, less buttons to click, less memory settings, and what's the curve, all that, and temp control, like, all that stuff is great from an innovation perspective, but the average user, the person who doesn't really care to get that deep into the hobby of it, just wants something. And so everything inevitably tends to simplify itself for fit for purpose. So, I'm not going to knock this for being something easy to use. You don't have to think. You just take the stupid plugs out of the top, pull the cover off of it, whatever, and you're on your way.
Yeah.
And so it's not shocking. I mean, drones the same way. Like, drones first come out, a lot to learn. Y'all and all your pitch and that, and now it's like you can just, for $50 you can buy a drone. You hit one button and the thing practically flies itself. Well, so where's the skill, right?
I think too, it's funny because you and I and a majority of the people that are out there in chat, we started with leaking tanks and devices that didn't work, to where we got to a point where the innovation was at an all-time high. I mean, and like you're saying, I think simplicity took more of a need in our industry than the innovation, because I think that's what if you think about it, 5 years ago, we had some of the best devices that were out there. We had some of the best RDAs that were out there, some of the best RTAs that were, amazing RTAs. I mean, that the RTA boom took off. And people were buying RTAs for the simple fact that I could have, anywhere from 2 mils to 5 mils of juice. I don't have to drip. And the flavor was exactly what I was getting out of an RTA. But again, like you said, I think simplicity took over from innovation. And I think a lot of us got to that point where it's like, do I need a curve? Do I need a preheat?
do I
preheat.
need,
Yeah,
do I need a certain wattage setting because I
yeah,
like a warmer vape versus a cooler vape?
yeah,
Do I want some big old fat honking coils in there that just friggin' gurgle, when they just cook, like, like some what were the, like, juggernauts or something,
yeah, yeah,
everybody had a different taste. But I think at some point, even with all that creative innovation, and you're catering to a specific niche in the community, companies who are trying to push units are going to lose vapors if that's what they stuck with, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's the older person who can't get their hands on the old ego twist and glass cartomizer with the silica wick that they started on. When that stuff phases out and it's gone, because that stuff was pretty simple when you think about it in its own right. But
yeah,
at some point, it's harder to retain those people because those other products that they attach themselves to just
yeah.
no longer become available. So you need something that spans the largest group of people possible.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of shocked me a little bit was the fact that at a point in time, 6 years ago, let's go 6 years ago, um, people enjoyed going from one flavor to the other flavor to the other flavor. Now that could get very expensive with disposables. I mean, that's the part I find a little bit funny, and I can't quite understand it. How that transition's changed to where, I mean, you did it. I mean, I would carry two mods with me, and
Mhm.
I would have two or three different flavors, one that I could mix with the other one in case I needed to switch over and it wouldn't be a big transition,
Right.
to where we are today, where now the individual is like, okay, I'm good with mango all day.
Sure.
And that's, I find funny.
ADVs, baby. We all had our all day vapes.
Yeah, that's the one part of it that I find kind of strange, because it's like we there, and I'm I'm guessing it wasn't a small portion of us, because I've done polls where I've asked people, how many flavors do they leave the if you're leaving the house all day, how many different flavors are you taking with you? And a lot of times it was anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4.
Hmm.
So, and to see that whole group of us just go, yeah, I'm good with the Mexican mango, or I'm good with strawberry watermelon
Right.
all day for weeks on end.
Well,
That's just strange.
when your options become more limited, you
Yeah.
have to start kind of adapting your lifestyle to what you can get your hands on. But I mean, if you think about it in that other regard, where people were saying 3 and 4 flavors a day, I mean, it was interesting. It was like, well, I take my coffee vape in the morning because it goes well, or
Right.
I take some kind of a desserty kind of, scone vape for the morning when I have my coffee and I'm just kind of waking up and getting into the day. And then I transition to something that's a little bit more fruity in the middle of the day, because maybe it's the hot part of the season and I want some kind of a lemonade or a punch vape that makes me feel refreshed and cooled off. And then in the evening, I'll kind of maybe transition to maybe a tobacco for a little
Yeah.
while, and
Yeah.
then I'll finish the night with a dessert vape, when I'm having this, having my my chocolate mousse. Whatever. People had all different kinds of styles, but that's the uniqueness of vaping, is that
Yeah.
even just having those luxuries to be able to do something like that wasn't because we were trying to be bombastic or unique or interesting or anything like that. It
We
was
want a
like
choice.
the, we want choice, and at the
Yeah.
same time, these are the things that help disassociate me from the habit of smoking and that taste and that flavor of smoking, so I can break away from it from that regard. But it also maintains me, right? Because I've
Yeah.
got my relative experience and I'm able to enjoy those parts of the day. So when I'm going through the stress that I'm experiencing of work and life in general and stuff like that, I can just go get that flavor that I want at that moment
Yep.
in time that suits the need for that situation, and I'm good. And then I won't, because if once stress kicks in
Yeah.
and pressure, I mean, it just seems so natural to run to an old bad habit.
Yep.
And that's when you're like, screw this, man. I love my vape, but dude, can I bum a cigarette? Because I just can't. I just it's just not. The stress is too much than
Yeah.
the appeasement of getting elsewhere. So now you're taking that away from people. So we adapt our lifestyles like that. But yeah, that's the thing that we're standing to lose and why we
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
want choices. I want options. I
Yep.
want flavors. I want to be able to switch when I want to switch.
Yeah, I'm
and
with
to
you.
know that I'm not going to have that stuff and it's going to become limited is frustrating and infuriating.
I hate them. I hate them. All right, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this in here. Bada 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 boo. Bada boom. Bada bing. I'm gonna go over here. Bada boom. Bada bing. Hold on, I gotta take that
A lot
out.
of binging and a bada booming
A
going
lot
on.
of bada boom.
You know what? I bet you guys any amount of money, he just has to click like 3 freaking buttons, and he's just
No,
making
it's
it all
more than that.
dramatic
It's
right
more.
now.
It's more than that. All right, hold on to your pants.
Tell me that you love me, yeah. Tell me something
good. All right,
You can't
Tim.
not dance in your chair.
All
On
right,
that.
all right. Hold on, though, Tim. And I'm asking everyone out there in chat. Tell me you're not singing that song while it's playing.
Oh, I'm mouthing every word, and even doing the little splinker splank. You know, when you, you gotta do that.
I thank God that when that bumper is going, that nobody can hear me because I have to sound completely awful. All right, today's American. Today's feel good story is an American one. It's an American story, and it's a big one. So I'm going to share the link to this because if you have any kids that are in America that want to participate in this little contest that is going on right now, a pretty cool little contest, American's Field Trip, to send students to nation's top landmarks for unforgettable experience. I'll let you know who's doing it here. It's a nationwide contest called America's Field Trip. Is now open to students across the United States, including elementary school, middle school, and high school students, and it offers a chance to win a field trip to a number of iconic and historical sites across the country in preparation for the America's 250th anniversary. Isn't that number, like, when I hear that number, it's just like, that's it? Do you ever feel like that? Like, that's such, compared to
I
the
guess
UK.
it's like, yeah, I guess when you hear that, you know, because when you think about dinosaurs being extinct for millions of years, you're like, yeah, they got an edge on you.
Yeah, 250, no big deal. Yeah, it's a pretty little cool trip. It's to celebrate the 250th anniversary. The contest the winners will be able to go on this field trip July 2026.
The hottest part
So
of the year.
yeah, so you got some time. Our nation's 250 is about to pass present and future, and no one represents that future better than America's incredible students, said Rosie Rios, chair of the American 250, in comments at the Fox Digital News. So what they want the kids to do is to put a video, a letter together, explaining why America is so great to them. And I think it's a cool little thing. I mean, to give some of these kids an opportunity to see some, I'm really surprised. I mean, I may be special or lucky, but when we moved from Philadelphia to California, my uncle decided that he didn't want to fly. My parents flew, but he decided he was going to buy an RV and he was going to show us America. So it was me and my two brothers and my cousin Joe, and we drove across the country, and I got to see I can't even get it out of Mount Rushmore. I got to see all these amazing places. And I grew up in Philadelphia, South Philly. So I got to see Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, where everything all started. I grew up seeing a lot of that stuff. But as I got an opportunity to go across the United States and see some of these places, I was blown away. I mean, I don't think I ever would have saw that stuff. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of kids that have never seen the Liberty Bell, who have ever seen, these locations throughout the country that are special. So I will put the link in there in chat. And if you have a student, someone in your family that wants to do this, there's a list of stuff. You got all year to do this. You got a list of things that they require you to do. And if you win, please let us know, right, Tim? Let us know if your child or friend. But pretty cool. I mean, how many places have you gotten to see historical places in the United States, Tim. Well, you lived by Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I got all of the downtown stuff. I mean, you had the Smithsonian, you had all the monuments. You just had, we didn't live very far from like Leesburg and places like that where you could go see some of the Civil War battlefields.
Yeah.
But I always thought growing up, for me, one of the places that I found most interesting was going to Colonial Williamsburg down in Williamsburg and seeing kind of like where our country got started. And seeing how people lived. I mean, it was quite impressive in the sense that, people would dress up and sort of role play, and then you would get to go to the baker, and you would go to the wig maker, and you would go to the blacksmith, and you would go, and they had the battery where you would get to kind of watch the military guys on how they loaded the muskets and all that stuff. And you got to go to the Parliament House and, well, like I guess they called it the House of Burgesses or whatever they called it. And you got to see all of that unique stuff that really was sort of the landmarks for the beginning of our country, and so it was quite a very enveloping experience.
Can you see that, Tim?
Yeah. And I have been to the Grand Canyon, and that was rather.
There's where their kids will go. Well, here actually, it's let me go. They got 75 first place awardees. So 75 people. The second place gets 500, and this is where they'll get to go.
So they get to go to the Statue of Liberty. I've been there. That's impressive. I have not been to Yellowstone National Park. I have not been to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. I have been to Colorado up on Breckenridge on the mountain. National Archives, which is cool, right?
That is very cool place.
You get to see the documents and all that stuff, and the Library of Congress. There you go. Smithsonian. You see, for the Smithsonian, which
that's a place to see.
Yeah. Now, what's great about that though is that all of the museums are taxpayer. It's government, federal, so it's paid for. Taxpayer money keeps them open, but they're free to go into. So you go to a lot of other towns, it's like 25 to get into this one, 30 to get in that one, 20 to get in that one. But Smithsonian's totally free. So you're going to do American history, which is really good. The National Museum of African American History, which is good, and culture. You get and the natural history. All wonderful museums, and really like half day to 3/4 day visits. Like when you're in there for a while. It's hard to kind of just skate. You get the Golden Gate Bridge, which is amazing. I've seen that. And then costume role-playing experience at American Village in Alabama. I don't know anything about that place.
Oh, yeah. What's his name would know?
So other opportunities for winners include tours of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York Museum, Learning Center, and the Bank of New York Mellon, the country's oldest bank, and both in New York City. Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, that'd be a very cool trip for a kid, an inner city kid, or someone in the South or somewhere in the middle of the country that would probably never get to see that stuff. So the link to that article is in chat. So if you have someone who you think may be interested in participating in that little contest, and if they do win, please let Tim and I know.
Yeah, it'd be cool to hear if some kid got a really cool
more pictures, damn it.
Exactly.
Oh, Tim, you have some news and advocacy.
Yeah, I wanted to dovetail off of one of our previous subjects. So like we're talking about enforcement and stuff like that. So there, we talk readily about disposables and whether or not one of the downsides to the channels for purchasing vapes would be through the C-stores and stuff like that. So this article is a tiny bit old, but I just thought it was.
Let me get your music. I need your music, bro. Go. I love when he throws the coffee.
Yeah, I you don't see that anymore. You don't. As long as I've lived in this neighborhood, I've not seen newspapers chucked out into people's front yards anymore. I used to do that though as a kid. All right, so we were talking about C-stores maybe being one of the downsides, one of the evil contributors to vapes getting into people's hands. But Dick Durbin has been hard at work along with some of his buddies. So let's talk about this one. Hold on. Present. Share screen.
Share that screen.
I want this one. Share. Okay. So you got a bunch of dinosaurs as it was so eloquently noted that dinosaurs aren't extinct; they're all in Congress. Definitely one of the best comments of the night. That's very true. Very, 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 very true statement. Thank you, Steve, for that wonderful truth bomb. So this was written by Jim McDonald, but senators threaten C stores selling disposable vapes. All right, so they're coming for the C stores. So a group of Democratic U.S. senators led by Illinois Senator Dick Durbin has sent letters to 22 major convenience store retailers and distributors threatening them with legal consequences for selling vaping products that have not received FDA authorization. So this wasn't that long ago that they did this. We're only talking March, so a little bit over month and 3 weeks old. The action was announced in a March 7 press release from Durbin, a longtime foe of vaping. I think he's Bloomberg's but diabolical twin. A longtime foe of vaping. The other signatories are Richard Blumenthal, Sherrod Brown, Bernie Sanders, and Ron Wyden. Recipients of the letters included retailers like 7-Eleven, Circle K, Wawa, and Pilot. Now, I don't spend any time in those places looking at what's behind the counter. Most of the time I go into places like that, you'd think that I would naturally gravitate and try to find the vapes behind the shelf. I know that they sell stuff like Juul. I know that they sell the Views and things like that, but I don't know that I saw disposable vapes in those stores. They tend to stick out like a sore thumb. You know what I mean? Like they tend to be something that grabs your attention. Recipients of the letters include retailers like 7-Eleven, Circle K, Wawa, and Pilot. The senator's goal is to pressure retailers to clear their shelves of popular disposable vapes and sell only the 6 available vaping devices authorized by the FDA and their tobacco-flavored refills. Now, I don't know how much autonomy a C-store has to decide what products are coming in and getting set on their shelves. But again, I just never saw any of that stuff kind of out there. I never really saw like a wide variety of Elf Bar and whatever other bar products that are out there as far as disposables. But these are corporate America, so they're not going to want their name run through the mud. So they'll be inclined to kind of collapse to these sorts of letters that go out to them. Selling only authorized vapes would be commercial suicide for the retailers. Those 6 devices and their refills, all produced by subsidiaries of big tobacco companies, together account for less than 5% of the convenience store vaping market. I don't know. Again, I just never saw them.
Tim, I have not seen anyone with an Elf Bar here, and now I do live in a smaller town, but I've never seen a single one. Not even my son.
No, so I never really felt like they were hotbeds for disposables. What I see more of is, everywhere I go. We were in several parts of the town in the last several days, and I saw lots of different types of vape stores, like the CD, the CBD, hookah, head shop types. I saw just the straight up vape type stores. I'm sure a lot of them had deltas and stuff like that in them. But I didn't, I just going into a convenience store, just never really, nothing caught my attention. Oh shit, look at that wall of disposables they got over there. The senators join a weird alliance of interests at war against disposable vapes that includes the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and Marlboro manufacturer Altria Group. Yes, our good friends over at Altria. Here's some content of the letter itself. We write to draw your attention to distributor and retailer responsibilities under the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act, better known as the PACT Act. The letters say, and to specifically highlight apparent widespread violations of federal law prohibiting the sale and distribution of unauthorized tobacco products at convenience stores, gas stations, and other retail outlets across the nation. Well, we already know that like CVS and Walgreens pulled all their stuff out, or at least CVS did. I know that CVS was one of the first ones. They pulled cigarettes out of the stores too. The senators don't explain that thousands of products not on the FDA authorized list are still under review by the agency. Of course, they always leave out the finer details. Hey, Don, good to see you. Are still and others have received stays in federal courts protecting them from FDA enforcement. Dozens of vape manufacturers have challenged FDA marketing denial orders in court, with many cases still pending. The senators join a weird alliance of interests at war against disposable vapes that includes the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and Marlboro. This is a repeat sentence. You already put this sentence in there, Jim.
Here we go.
That's all right. No, I'm not criticizing Jim. I'm sure that was done for emphasis, right? That was done for emphasis. He's a great writer. Along with publicity-hungry politicians, disposables are under attack in the U.S. by the FDA, tobacco control organizations, major tobacco companies, and state legislators acting on behalf of tobacco companies. Disposable vapes began to gain popularity in 2020 after the FDA made flavored pod of vapes an enforcement priority. Since then, the flavored disposable vape market has grown rapidly, threatening sales of big tobacco-owned vape brands like Vuse and Enjoy, and now even threatening cigarette sales, the tobacco industry's bread and butter. But that's the point. Yeah. That's the point of vaping, is that we want to destroy combustible smoking and offer people a much healthier way to combat that horrific habit. So do I feel bad for the tobacco companies? No, but the government feels bad for the tobacco companies.
They feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they got heartstrings just laid out all over the table. Save the cigarettes. That should just be their campaign slogan. Or like what we could impose on them is you know how save the whales, or save anything really. We should just come up with like a marketing campaign that we can attach to all of these yucca pucks in the government, and and like make them t-shirts and send them to their offices.
If we get someone to say it though, we got to get someone with that husky smoker's voice. Hey,
save the cigarettes. Save the cigarettes. Yeah, I mean, a lot of wonderful people have been taken from us far too soon. A lot of people are not going to be able to spend an enjoyable amount of time with their kids, their grandkids. A lot of people aren't going to be able to get up and get out of the house and go for a brisk walk because they just get too broken down after walking 2 blocks. I mean, cigarettes do their damage, and I have a feeling that if vaping could end up in those people's hands, they would be living far more productive lives.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, exactly. And that's why we're all here, and we're all proud of everything. Yeah, dick. Don't be a dick. All right, let me stop. Who's what?
I thought you were talking to somebody. Don't be a dick.
I heard something. All right.
Oh, I don't know. That was the applause. You heard the applause.
I heard the applause, and then I had a bit of a bad connection. So,
okay, no problem.
Apologies. Going to this one, I thought this one was kind of interesting, and let's talk a little bit about this one, because this is something that I kind of highlighted at the beginning of the show, and one thing that has been sort of a welcome. Oh yeah, well, I've been seeing those. Yeah, exactly. I've been seeing that stuff, and again, that's just more nonsense for me. It's like, just keep throwing stuff at the wall. Like, what's going to be next? That we're fully nuclearized warheads just walking around? Is that what we're going to be when we? Good gravy, man. And why do people buy into this shit? Can't the average human being just have some conceptual idea of like the fact that you're reading what you're reading is just
nonsense?
Uranium. And granted, I saw Charles Gardner kind of put up a comment about it. He posted about it earlier today, and he made and something that he points out is that we're all tainted by multiple things throughout the day, right? I mean, we're breathing in carbon monoxide, we're exposed to chemicals or pollution of all kinds. We touch things all day long that we get contaminated with. I mean, we're not dying, we're not perishing, dropping like flies over this stuff. So even if, and like Charles said, he said the levels found in people were considered at safe levels of exposure based on government regulation, like what they say is okay to be exposed to. whether you want to be exposed to that one thing at all, period, well, then fine. You know, you go wear a hazmat suit when you go outside. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying is you're going to get exposed to stuff. I mean,
Yep.
you could, anyway, ridiculousness, ridiculous. All right, let's go here. I just wanted to kind of talk about this one. And this is not about the man. So if anybody's got some sensitive feelings about
Elon,
that's not what this is about. It's just more to highlight this element of X. I'm trying to zoom. Oh, I'm at 200. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Let's go to 250.
there you go.
Elon Musk's community notes on X setting the record straight on vaping. I just think that this is probably the greatest thing that has come along with regard to the crap that's put out on X regarding vaping. Now, if anybody wants to take the time to, that doesn't feel like I feel, but you know, wants to takes any legitimacy with these community notes, this is something that these people can't shake. Now, I'm sure they can probably appeal them, but they probably have to go through a pretty strict regimen to try to disprove and say, well, this community note isn't valid. I have read a couple instances where community notes were put up on certain people's stuff, and they did somehow find a way to get them taken down. But that's what I love about this, is that these posts go up, and then you can retweet them before they get the community note, or even when they get the community note, and it just shuts everybody up. Because they see that community note hanging on there, and they're like, "Well, you know, who am I to debate this? It's rating is helpful." So, in the realm of innovation and controversy, Elon Musk stands as a figure who never shies away from addressing pressing issues head on. Recently, Musk's community notes on various platforms have been garnering attention, particularly when it comes to vaping and other nicotine replacement therapies. As debates around the health implications of these products continue to swirl, community note insights are playing a pivotal role in setting the record straight. Vaping, once hailed as a safer alternative to traditional smoking, has come under intense scrutiny in recent years. Concerns about its long-term health effects, particularly among younger demographics, have sparked debates worldwide. Amidst this backdrop, Elon Musk, known for his outspoken nature and forward-thinking approach, has created a way for readers to add information to these false claims, right there, false claims, via community notes. And it's really helping because it is debunking a lot of the stuff. I hope that there's some actual people on this planet who have the ability to critically think and go, hey, you know what? And this really more or less puts everything on a silver platter for that person, right? Because if they're willing to go ahead and read the thing that may speak to their narrative or their belief or what they suspected, and then it gets tagged with this massive community note with like 35 links to all these studies that were done and journal papers and even the WHO themselves, as Mallory pointed out, I think it was Mallory on one of the posts, is that the WHO even got community noted with one of their own articles. So one of the references that go against their claim is their own selves.
Yeah.
I think that those are probably the most satisfying ones. When it's like, hey, you know, we watch enough presidential debates on TV to know people change their tune all the time. Debunking vaping myths. Recent examples of these instances range from notes on pages like GGTC, who claim that heat not burn and e-cigarettes are not reduced risk products, claiming they're just as harmful or more. Yeah, that's what I meant, Mallory. Claiming that they're just harmful or more harmful. So, example of an X tweet. The transition of tobacco industry to so-called reduced risk products like e-cigs and heated tobacco devices is a deceitful pivot. Despite claims of harm reduction, they remain just as detrimental, if not more so. It's like they just say whatever they want. It blows my mind how many people just bold-faced lie on X. Bold-faced lie. And it under names, like names that people will turn to and go, I should believe them. As scrutiny shifts from smoking harms to broader impact, and then they get hammered with the community note. Love it. The post insinuates harm reduction systems such as electronic cigarettes and nicotine pouches cause greater harm. And then boom, here you go. They give you link outs to everything. So I hope that there's some people in this world who have the ability to critically think and will actually take the time and go, it's right there on a silver platter. Because I've had debates with people on Twitter or X,
Yep.
whatever you want to call it, where they're like, you're like, hey, read this, hey, read that, hey, go read this, go read, the Royal College of Physicians paper on it. Well, I don't have time for all that. Okay,
Yeah.
well, now if you got time to read the garbage, you got time to read the truth.
Yep.
WHO and nicotine gosh, I can't speak.
Yeah,
shoulder-
baby. Yeah.
My shoulder,
Timmy.
I'm blaming it on my shoulder feeling like it's 72 years old. That skeet shooting wore me out. WHO and nicotine prohibitionist group PAVE taken to task for misleading propaganda. As Grim tweeted, he said, this is the first and last time I will ever retweet anything from PAVE.
That was
The
great.
World Health Organization also received 2 community notes recently about flavors and health here, and another one on use here. That's the one that I was addressing, where people were getting blocked from the WHO Europe page. Other community notes like this one on PAVE's Parents Against Vaping E-cigarettes X page addressed a false narrative that claims lung injuries like Valley were caused by vaping nicotine e-cigarettes. But it really is a great opportunity for us to finally have people exercise their free speech, but put it into a framework where all of the information is collective, right? You get to read the BS, and then you get to read the community note, which is more than amply disproves the claims that are being made. I hope that it wakes people up. Musk's engagement with the vaping discourse is primarily through his community notes on platforms like X, where he boasts a massive following. Unlike traditional press releases or carefully curated statements, Musk's community notes offer a glimpse into readers' unfiltered thoughts and opinions. This authenticity has resonated with many, especially those seeking clarity on contentious issues like vaping. One of the key aspects of Musk's community notes on vaping is an emphasis on scientific evidence. Follow the science, right? Follow the science. Even old Joe Beat said that. In an era rife with misinformation and sensationalism, Musk's commitment to data-driven analysis is refreshing. These community notes often reference studies and research findings to substantiate points, urging followers to adopt a critical mindset when evaluating the risks associated with vaping. I could go on here. We're starting to run out of time. I just really think it highlights a wonderful time in social media, where we're able to combat a lot of the misinformation that is out there with legitimate information. So it's not just somebody lying and then somebody else telling another lie. Yeah. So it gives you a voice. And hopefully, like I said, it gets people to read a little bit more into the subject. And, I'm sure some of those links probably have a bunch of numbers and weird symbols and shit. You don't know what you're looking at. But
symbols.
Yeah.
Cave drawing.
Math stuff. Just math shit that just scrambles your fucking brain,
Hey, try doing core math.
Common Core, no. I watched a video on it and I'm like, are you teachers insane? I'm like, where does that even come from? Like, who had the time?
I thought we needed to save paper. I thought we needed to save paper, not use more of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't need to do a 14-page math problem when it's like, what's 42 plus 7?
I need 6 pieces of paper for this equation, please.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
You're right, Arthur. Muse puts out good stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, my pod puts out good articles and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone out in chat. Thank you, Tim. Come join me tomorrow. Who's joining me tomorrow? Let me put it up on the screen here.
Is it Jason Community Notes Vapes?
No, it is Patrick. Patrick from Sons of Liberty Radio will be joining me tomorrow on In the Vapor. So we're going to get to know Patrick a little bit better. His interests, his likes, his dislikes outside of the vape community. So tomorrow, Thursday at 1 p.m. In the Vapor, same channel, same place. It's on Twitter, whatever you want to call it, on YouTube. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Should be fun getting to know Jason. Jason, you got Jason on my. It'll be fun getting to know Patrick. Get Patrick a lot better. So we'll see Patrick tomorrow. Have some fun new questions for him. It should be a good show. Timmy, thank you again Thank you again, everybody on chat, and
You're welcome.
we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you to everyone. Thanks for being here on the show with us.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Wait, I'll just Omana Domini, Omana
Spiritual Santo.
Welcome to Vape Church, everyone.
Amen. Oh, bye, people.